Curry is prone to go off at any time, and the play-in is no exception. Nobody has more 35-point games in the tournament than the two-time MVP. And he has the highest average of anybody to make multiple appearances on this stage. The problem is, Steph and company are in the play-in probably a little more than they would like to be. This marks the third straight year they've been here. This time around, the Dubs face Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers on the road in a win-or-go-home elimination game. We welcome in four-time NBA champion Draymond Green to the show. So good to have you here, Draymond. Thanks for coming by.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, so it was a tough regular season for the Warriors with injuries, of course. But even with that, you find yourselves in control of your own destiny, just 2 wins away from making the playoffs. How do you feel heading into the play-in tournament?
I feel good heading into the play-in. You know, to have Steph back, have Al back. Obviously, you know, we're missing Jimmy. Missing Moses, but to just have, you know, some of the guys back, especially two guys as important as Steph and Al, you feel good going into the play-in tournament. I've been in these play-in games, I think maybe 3 times now. They always feel like playoff games. They are there's going to be playoff intensity. And when you are, as a competitor, when you're faced with playoff intensity, competitors rise up. And so I'm looking forward to the opportunity. Our team's looking forward to the opportunity. As you said, we control our own destiny. So go out there, put 2 great games together, and let's try to get that 8th seed.
You and Steph Curry are 2 of the longest active tenured duo in the NBA. What would it mean to get another playoff run with Steph, especially with all the challenges this season?
It would mean a lot. You know, number one, we don't know how many we have left. How many opportunities do we have to do this again? And so each one you have to cherish. You know, anytime I'm able to take the court with Steph Curry and compete at a high level, you know, it's been my honor my entire career, and it's one I take for granted. Not everyone gets to play with all-time greats, the likes of Steph, especially you then add in the demeanor that he has, what he brings to the table, who he shows up as every day. It's a really, really special thing. And so still playing at an extremely high level, and we want to make sure that we can capitalize on that and put ourselves in the best position we can to win with the circumstances that we've been dealt.
You touched on this, too. You've played in more games for Steve Kerr than any active player has played for any coach. I mean, Steve's contract does expire after this season is over. Has the thought that this could maybe be the last run with Kerr at the helm of the Dubs crossed your mind yet?
No, because I know Steph Curry still wants to continue to play. I want to continue to play. But more importantly, I know Steph doesn't want another coach. I would say to myself, but I don't mean that as much as Steph does. Like, you know, when you've been through what we've gone through, the success that we've had, like, what's Steph going into year 18? Year 18, you're like, oh, we're going to get a new coach now. No one wants that, you know. And so what Steve has brought to this organization, his winning ways that he brought to this organization, the success, we won 4 championships under Coach Kerr. There's, 26 franchises that doesn't have 4 championships? Right. And we have 4 with this head coach. He's written his ticket. Yeah. He's written a ticket. He's done everything he's needed to do to deserve to leave when he's ready. And I know Joe, Peter, they're very honorable, they're very loyal guys, and more importantly, they're very smart guys. And when you have someone that has had the success that Steve Kerr has had, you're talking a Hall of Fame. If he stops today, he's a Hall of Fame coach. And he came here to an organization that had not won a championship in 40 years, since 1975. And he delivered that in year 1, and then in year 3, and then in year 4. Like, that's unheard of. And so you don't, you know, I think oftentimes in this league, everybody's always looking at the other side thinking it's greener. And then when they get on the other side and they realize all the grass is brown and it's dead and there's no sprinkler system and the sun doesn't rise on that side, it only sets on that side, then everybody want to look back like, man. And now you start this cycle of 4 coaches in 4 years. You know, you start this cycle of having 6 coaches over 8 years. The Warriors have been through that cycle, and no one's trying to go through that again. So as long as we have a Steve Kerr, one to coach this team, you're not going to go and find a better coach. So
I know
that's not
right.
a worry of mine or anybody in this organization.
I hear that. And speaking of coach, he said Sunday that he wouldn't be playing Curry 40 minutes in this win or go home elimination game. So how do you feel about a minutes restriction being on the table with your season on the line?
Like I said before, the circumstances we're dealt, you just got to play the hand that you're dealt. And, Steph Curry, if this is Steph's last year, you're like, screw it, man. Like, forget the minutes restriction. Let's just give it all we got. This isn't Steph's last year. We got the best medical staff in the business, led by Rick Celebrating. He's always going to make the right decision. He's always going to do things for the right reason. And there's alignment across our organization. And what's best for Steph Curry wouldn't be throwing him out there for 40 minutes in a playoff game, having been played 4 games in the last 2.5 months. So he's going to give what he can. And it's on the rest of us to pick up the slack where he can't give and make sure we keep it going when he's not out there on the floor.
You talked on this show last year about the importance of making all defense 10 times in your career, something only legends of the game have done before. Do you remember that group of 5 players to make all defense at least 10 times?
Absolutely. You're talking Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Scottie Pippen, and Kevin Garnett.
Come on.
Like these,
easy day.
These are all first ballot Hall of Famers. These are all, you're talking top 3 players at their positions. These are all-time greats. For my name to possibly sit next to theirs, to possibly be mentioned in the likes of those guys, like, what an honor. Coming into the NBA, the question was, what position would he guard? To end my career on a list like that with those 5 guys would be one of the biggest honors of my life. And so I've put the work in. I've worked hard at it. I think I've put a great display of defense on again this year. And I hope the voters feel that I'm worthy of an all-defensive team selection, because I think, you watch the film, I think I definitely do that at a very high level still to this day.
Do you think there's any single player left that makes a bigger defensive impact than yourself?
It's hard to say Victor Wembanyama doesn't. Just the way, I think one thing that I do defensively that, you'll never be able to quantify is I'm a positional defender, so I'm not giving you your spots that you want to get to. I like to deter shots. I'm not Victor Wembanyama's height, right? So I'm not going to block every shot. Right. So I want to get myself into a spot to where you can't even get to the shot. And I think that type of anticipation is sometimes tough to quantify. Well, when you look at a Victor Wembanyama, he is one that does that same thing, but in a different way. Because all of a sudden, a guy gets to the hole, and whereas you usually just take that shot, you see a lot of times guys see him in the area, they just dribble the ball out, right? Mm-hmm. And so to sit and say today that my defense is more impactful than Victor Wembanyama's, I think that would be a lie, and I've never been one to not be honest. So I wouldn't put myself above him, but I wouldn't put myself below anyone else.
Is there anybody on the offensive side of the ball that's more dangerous than Steph?
No, I don't think there's anyone on the offensive side of the ball that's more dangerous than Steph. We see Steph get guarded differently than anyone in the NBA. You're talking people grabbing him, holding him, sending 2 and 3 people at him. No one draws that type of attention in the NBA when they don't have the ball. People are terrified of him, and he doesn't have the ball, and he can't score. He does not have the basketball in his hand, and people are terrified. There's no one else in NBA history that they run through the paint and the whole defense shift, and this guy doesn't have the ball. And so I don't think we'll ever, in the history of basketball, see anyone guarded like Steph Curry's guarded. That's the respect level that he's gained from opposing coaches, from opposing players. And so to say that there's someone that's a tougher guard in the NBA, I'm going to have a hard time agreeing with that one.
Yeah, no, facts. All right, so it sounds like you like your chances as you head into the postseason here. All right, Draymond, thank you so much. We appreciate your time as always. And, of course, we will be watching closely as we get into the postseason.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, MJ.
The Warriors have won 104 playoff games in the Steve Kerr era. That started with the 2014-2015 season. That's the most in the NBA in this time, and over twice as many as all but 2 other teams. Welcome into our senior writer, Anthony Slater, joining us here in LA with the Warriors in town, of course, for tomorrow's play-in game. No one has more playoff experience than this team, but they have a very difficult path truly ahead of them. Slater, how are they approaching this matchup?
Well, they're not trying to get into the playoffs, right? Draymond's going to guard Kawhi, and he's going to try to have a good defensive night and then probably tell us all about it afterwards. And, you know, hopefully the voters, you know, for him.
Swing his way a little bit.
Steph's going to try to get hot. It's a showcase stage for them. Draymond said it. They don't have many of these type of nights left. But I think it is fair to wonder organizationally whether it's better for them to lose. Because I'll give you an example. Last year I covered the 9-10. Dallas Mavericks were in that game. They won it. They then played the final playing game, lost. Memphis goes and gets swept by the Thunder. Dallas keeps their lottery odds, jumps up, gets Cooper Flag. If the Warriors lose, they keep their lottery odds, 9.4% chance to jump up in the top 4 of this draft. If they win their way into the play-in, they lose those lottery odds, and then they get the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first round. Our graphics guys right here. Better chance to get 9.4 chance to get into the top 4 or to beat the Thunder. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, I go 9.4. Because you're not beating the Thunder, not with this group, especially with Steph Curry on minute restriction, also Al Horford, Porzingis. And I agree with Draymond. He is the hardest guy to guard, and that gravitational pull that he has is unbelievable. Nobody in history will ever have that. But they just don't have enough around him right now to get it done.
Jimmy Butler.
And Jimmy's out. So it's tough. They couldn't get Giannis. They tried to make some moves at the deadline. But right now they need to just focus on the future.
They understand the assignment. Like, collectively, the doctor, Steve Kerr, submitted. It's a reason he put out the minute restriction.
Yeah.
Like, Draymond is no dummy. Steph is not dumb. Steve Kerr is no dummy when it comes to knowing what an NBA championship roster look like. And they don't have one. They know this. So what are you competing for? To go out there and do what? To get swept by the Oklahoma City Thunder? Like, let's be honest here. And good luck, Draymond. Draymond is one of the best defenders I've ever seen. We talk about Steph changing the game. Draymond changed the game. Sure. That foul ball, with him being able to go at the center position at his size, his height, but good luck trying to stop Kawhi Leonard. Real talk, because he has been, matter of fact, let me say this. Kawhi Leonard is making one of the all-NBA teams on my ballot. He's getting my vote. He has been one of the most dangerous players, offensive weapons, in the game this season. So, again, I'm with you, Slater. Hey, look, be optimistic about what the future look like and go ahead and get that lottery pick.
It would help in a trade, too.
I mean, the fans, I'm sure, are like, shut up, guys. We just want to see Steph Curry
This is fan appreciation day. That's why they're playing them, right?